who slander against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this ayah you can find it in Quran, repeated in many times in Quran. فَمَنْ أَظْلَمُ مِمَّنِ افْتَرَى عَلَى اللَّهِ كَذِبًا. And this is the biggest injustice according to Quran, because you are trying to do wrong to the one that he created you, to the one who created you and has all the right and has all the favor over you. This is the biggest injustice. Those who lied against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they will appear at the day of resurrection. You will find and you will notice them. They will be distinguished from the rest of the creation. Those who lied against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. تَرَى الَّذِينَ كَذَبُوا. You will see them who lied على Allah, against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it's very important for us to be careful when we are talking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We cannot talk about Him without a certain knowledge. وَتَقُولُونَ عَلَى اللَّهِ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Those who speaks about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala some things that they do not know. مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Ilm means certain knowledge according Islam, according Quran. If you speak about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without certain knowledge, it's very dangerous. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask you, how can you talk that about me? You cannot say that I guessed or it was a conjecture about you. No, it's very important that we can only speak about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We can only present Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, introduce Him to the others only with the certain knowledge, only with ilm, with the certain knowledge. We cannot speak about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala following our conjectures. Those who produced many deities besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they followed the conjecture. They do not have certain knowledge about their belief. When those say that Allah has son, or when those say that Allah has some intermediaries between us and Him, and those when they say that Allah, the angels are the daughters of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they do not have a certain knowledge, they do not have a revelation, and their minds already refuses these claims, because the mind of the humankind only can accept the truth. When you reason, when you seek for the knowledge, we can say or we can see that there can be only one creator who created the heavens and earth, and we should say and we can say that there at least should be one creator who created the heavens and the earth. We cannot accept and we cannot say that this intelligence and this beautiful life and this very perfect life emerged, took place randomly. It's impossible. No one can claim that. So the proof for the only one is already on the table, but there is no proof for the second deity. If you are talking about the second deity, it means that you are lying about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, about the only one God, and at the day of resurrection, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will blacken your face. At that day, those who lied against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you will see their face blackened. And another type of lying about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there is a book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and there are many books of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala which He sent down to humanity, and the final one, the last one, is Quran. In any one of His books, if you change the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you change His revelation and you say that this is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like the Jews or like the Christians, when they changed some of the places of their books, and they said وَيَقُولُونَ هُوَ مِنْ عِنْدِ اللَّهِ, they were saying this is from the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَمَا هُوَ مِنْ عِنْدِ اللَّهِ, but it's not from the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there can be some people, some believers of Islam, when they change the meaning of Quran, it's already clear that no one can change the wording of Quran, because it's already fixed everywhere in the world. But some try to change its meaning according to themselves. If they do that intentionally in order to change the meaning according to their desires, so this is the same thing, that this is ilhad, change the meaning of the ayat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is ilhad, and it is very important sin. It's a very big sin. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يُلْحِدُونَ فِي آيَاتِنَا لَا يَخْفَوْنَ عَلَيْنَا. Those who are trying to do ilhad, trying to change the meaning of our ayats, they are not, they cannot conceal themselves from us. لَا يَخْفَوْنَ عَلَيْهَا. We are already aware about them. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks, أَفَمَنْ يُلْقَى فِي النَّارِ خَيْرٌ أَمَّنْ يَأْتِي آمِنًا يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. Think someone who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will put him in hellfire. Is he same with the one which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bring him in safe in that day and put him in Jannah, in paradise? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with this question wants to say that ilhad will take you to hellfire. This crime, doing ilhad, making ilhad, will take his owner, the one who did that action, to hellfire. It is such a big sin in Islam, because at that moment you put yourself in the position or in the state of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and try to rule His servants on behalf of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Think about any statement in the Quran. Some people try to change its meaning according to their desires and say that here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala do not say that thing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying something different. And if they do this action intentionally, if they are not sincere about what they are saying, and we know that Allah is the one who knows everything, whatever we conceal or whatever we say publicly, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask them, how dare you to change my ayat? How dare you to try to change the meaning of my ayat? Who are you to change the meaning of my ayat? So let's be sincere. We should be sincere in our actions. I'm not speaking about those who are really sincere when they are trying to interpret the Quran and when they are trying to understand the Quran. Of course, some people can say, I understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to say here as that thing or this thing. We should be sincere. But if we are not sincere, if we have some evil intentions in order to change the meaning, or if we think that Quran in this ayah is already wrong and we should do some favor to Quran, we should do some favor to the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and try to amend it, at that moment we are already kuffar.